So I'm not sure if you've seen this with everything going on, especially with the new photos that have dropped from Jeffrey, but the EU is not fucking around. So they just froze 210 billion euros, which is 247 billion US dollars in Russian assets indefinitely. In the past, they had been pausing. They had been voting every 6 months about what to do with the money, but that opened the door for Russian friendly countries like Hungary to veto what to do with the money. So the funds will be frozen until um, Russia ends its war of aggression against Ukraine and compensates for the damage caused. And this came a few hours after Russia filed a lawsuit against a company called Euroclear, which is the central securities depository that holds those assets. And that's in Belgium. And so Belgium in the past had been worried about this because they were getting all these lawsuits. I think it was like up to 100 lawsuits that they were dealing with because they were the central kind of cog that was holding all of this money. And there had been a plan last week to propose a $79 billion pound loan for Ukraine, where secured against the Russian assets that were immobilized in the EU, and it was blocked by Belgium because they feared a bunch of lawsuits and the seizure of Belgian assets in. Then there are a whole lot of things going on with this. Uh, Multiple countries have agreed to help Belgium in the event that they are affected by this, but this opens the door to start using these funds to to borrow against them to support Ukraine and have Russian assets support the Ukrainian war effort, which is fucking great. But there's also a part in here which directly screws Trump. So if you remember, he came out with that 28-point peace plan, which was basically a Russian wish list, like given by the Russians. And point 14 was where some of the money would, like 100 billion, would go to Ukraine. Um, the EU would support another 100 billion. A bunch of it would go into a joint U.S. Russia peace initiative where that money was never going to get out of Putin's and Trump's pockets. It wasn't going to go anywhere. But the U.S. was supposed to get 50% of the profits from reconstruction of Ukraine. And so this absolutely shoots a hole in that scheme where Trump and Putin were going to profit big time. Putin was going to profit in that he was going to get that peace plan pushed, which meant Ukraine could never join NATO. A ton of Ukrainian territory was going to go over to Russia. Like he was going to come out as the winner in that peace plan that he pushed to Trump, and Trump pushed on the U.S. Public. And now Trump's not going to get his profit, this sweetener, this big deal out of this. And Putin is going to watch his own money, his own money potentially be used to fund the war against it. There's an EU summit next week when leaders have promised decisions on funding Ukraine in 26 and 27 because there's worry that they're going to start to run out of money. So this is a step towards solving that. And there'll be more that comes out of this with the immobilization of Russian assets. But yeah, EU's not playing soft. They are coming for it. And they didn't care, if it hurt Trump in the pocketbook. They certainly didn't care if it hurt Putin. They want him to hurt. They are on the front line of this whole thing and watching all this happen, even as Trump tries to backpedal half the time and step back from this whole decision as he and Putin go back and forth with this whole tit for tat and the Jeffrey folders and Venezuela, which has a big relationship with Russia. All of these things back and forth, they're hitting them right in the pockets. So I'm all about it.